Galen, it's getting really bad out there.
I know, it's it's almost like depressing.
Tell me about it. Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm all alone, like it's just kind of affecting everybody, and I feel isolated over here. I mean, you have it, so...
I know. Wait, what?
You know, like, and I mean, there's no vaccine, there's no cure.
Are we talking about the same thing here?
Aren't we? I'm talking about how there's no known cure for heterosexuality.
I mean, I would agree.
The life of heterosexual is sad and a lonely life.
Please tell me you're going to start playing some Sarah McLachlan in the background.
In the arms of the homo.
If we did like a visual aid, we can just show a bunch of people in... Okay. Oh, wait, no, that's getting really dark. No, don't do that.
Yeah. It would be like, instead of like the infomercial with like the sad dogs, it would just be a whole bunch of like sad LGBTQ folk being like, well, no, actually it'd be sad straight people. So yourself, Galen, it would be you.
It would be me in a cage.
Despite all of your rage. Hello, my lovely Legos. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 71, I believe.
That is indeed right.
I mean, same. Like, whatever, same stuff. Yeah. My name is Onidino. With me, I have a Lego piece that doesn't fit in the set. It's Galen.
You know, there's always like 3 that come in the set that it's weird. It makes sense if you follow directions, but you skip that step and you're just like, where the hell do you go? That's me.
Yeah, what box do you fit in, Galen?
A circle.
What? So we're coming to you live, not live, from I'm so tired. I'm so tired by all of the news lately and politics and stuff like that. So let's talk about video games, Galen. Let's give everybody a bit of a respite from life.
You know what? I can 100% agree with that. Let's talk about video games.
And positivity.
Fun stuff.
Let's talk about games, Galen.
Let's talk about games, Oni.
I feel like we did this a very long time ago in an episode.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past us. Like, we have a tendency of kind of making a joke, forgetting about it for like a year.
Episode
and then
71, we just recycle our jokes. That's all it is.
Basically.
There was never any magic. Okay, stop. I need to stop being cynical. This needs to be a positivity podcast for this week because it's a little rough out there. So what's coming up in this episode? We're talking about E3 canceled. There was also a Lego Mario set that was sort of tease revealed. We got some super details on that. But more importantly than any of that is video games and industry talk.
Absolutely. I'm actually really excited to get some industry talk in today.
I don't know what you're planning, and I am at my weakest moment, so I don't know if I'm ready for you to...
I'll be gentle?
Oh my god. I was trying to not make it weird, and you intentionally made it weird.
You gave me free reign to do such, so...
That's...
Bazinga? No.
Bazinga.
What? I don't know why I said that.
Bazinga. Okay. On the count of 3, let's all say that at the same time. Ready?
No.
Yes.
I refuse.
Yes. No. On the count of 3. Ready?
No. I refuse to take part in
2,
this.
3.
This is the worst.
You didn't say it.
Neither did you.
Yes, I did. You didn't hear it.
Say it again.
Okay. On 3. Ready?
All right.
1, 2. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are a weekly show. a Weirdly show. Episodes go live on the Sunday, blah, blah, blah. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, everywhere you want us to be. That's where we are. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Rodney Dangerfield. No.
Is that the lyric?
No. You can support us the best way by recommending us to a friend, sharing us in a Discord group, in a chat room on AOL. Galen, where else can people recommend us? Friendster.
Stickam, the iTunes, the Last FM. I think that's a thing.
Shit, I forgot about Last FM. Anyway, sharing us, recommending us, clicking like and rating us with 5 stars and stuff, that is all enormously helpful to getting us discovered and recommended to new people. We've got a lot of new listeners lately, and we are super happy welcoming them with big old arms. Galen's got the big arms.
And for those of you who this is their second episode, this is not just a Square Enix Everything podcast. We talk about all Nintendo stuff.
You know how when you dumb laugh and then it actually is funny and then you laugh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what that's like.
Remember this? Remember laughing? Let's talk about what we've been playing this week in our adventure log. So Galen, when I play video games, I talk about it on social media sometimes. What social media do you use where you talk about video games?
Mostly I make comments on Twitter. If you want to follow those comments, you can find me at Mobius087. And occasionally I'll throw some pictures up of, various things. I've got the new Animal Crossing Special Edition Switch, so I might throw a couple of images up there on Instagram. To check those out, you can do that at true_Mobius.
Excellent. And if you want to continue the conversation with me, come over to my Twitter. That's at Oni_Dino. And then my Instagram. And this week, because we were talking about E3 getting canceled and stuff like that, I'm going to throw up some pictures of last year's E3 when I went. And I look awful and embarrassing, but there it is. Awful and
Fantastic.
Embarrassing is what you get. My Instagram is Oni__Dino.
2 underscores.
Double
the lines.
Double the disappointment.
Yeah.
So Galen, speaking of disappointing, you've been playing Animal Crossing Special Edition.
Sort of.
Well, that's what you wrote down on the document.
Yeah. So I just picked up the Animal Crossing Special Edition Nintendo Switch for my wife. She has been ecstatic and cannot contain her excitement when it comes to the new Animal Crossing game coming out next week. So
sounds like she needs to be in quarantine since she can't contain her excitement.
Too soon.
It's going to be soon forever.
Actually, no joke. We were kind of making the joke that if we did need to go into quarantine, it would be okay because we've been planning for this day ever since we heard that Animal Crossing was coming out.
Yeah, you and like the bajillionth other peoples of the world, which is not a sentence of words. Animal Crossing needs to come soon. Like, it should have been released like a month ago, early.
They were talking about how they're canceling all the flights in and out of the U.S. and everything, and my wife actually said something really beautiful and said, you know what, even though we won't be able to like go to Ireland or anything like that, we still have an island getaway coming up in just a week. And I thought that was like really, really precious.
Oh, isn't that just the sweetest shit? So tell me about your unboxing video that you put up on your Twitter.
Oh, absolutely. I might have deleted it, but if it's still there, I'll put it up. No, the console is beautifully designed. Both the docking station as well as the console itself. Seeing the colors in real life and not necessarily photoshopped, but very deliberately colored and placed images to make everything seem as warm and comforting as possible. Like, seeing that stuff out in the real life, it still looks just as beautiful as on those images. The designs on the back are very subtle, but I'm a little bit jealous. They look really, really nice.
On the back of the actual Switch console itself, right?
Yes,
What's
absolutely.
the pattern on the back there? I forgot.
It's a collaboration of a bunch of different things related to New Horizons. There's a couple of characters, there's like some logs, there are some trademarked Animal Crossing shapes, there's like, I think there's a tent on there somewhere, but it's a medley of different icons that they're like glossed onto the system, they're not like etched or anything.
Oh, cool, I like that a lot.
Yeah, they stand out, but they don't stand out at the same time. It's like a black on black finish, and I really like that.
So this is also the new Switch, the upgraded model as well, with the Tegra X1 Mariko in it.
Yes, as well as the adjustments to the battery as well, so it's a little bit more efficient too.
Actually, I think I heard that the battery itself is not different. It's that the Mariko chipset itself is more efficient.
Yeah.
So it makes the battery last longer. But I think it's the same battery as the other Switch revision. Or Switch original.
Yeah, I have to look that up. I know that the length of it is longer.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we like to hear.
Jesus. Man, I was a spicy one last episode, and this one is totally. I'll give you this one.
I'm a dry heat. That's what I'll say this week.
You're a dry heat?
Yeah. That's where the spice comes from.
All right.
A little burnt.
So kind of a little bit of like cayenne and, chipotle?
No, it's like you started from whole spices, roasted them in a pan, forgot about it because you were washing dishes at the same time. It's a very layered thing. And then you were like, well, these are the only spices I have. They're a little burnt. They smell burnt, but spice is still there. Let's pound them and then toss them into a dish. And we'll call that dish Onidino. So
you're going to be the dish that gets pounded? I don't know where we're going with this anymore.
I don't know where you're taking it, but I was... Anyway, tell me about your Switch, your new Switch.
When you were saying that you were a dry heat, my second joke was to call you just Arizona. You're a dry heat.
I'd rather be dead in any other state than alive in Arizona. What up, our Arizona listeners?
I'm very excited to have another Switch in the household, actually.
Yeah.
Because it was interesting. We've had one for the longest time, but actually getting my wife set up with her own unit, and she seemed like generally excited by like not only the whole unboxing process, but also setting it up and being like, oh, hey, by the way, let's get you set up with the Nintendo Switch Online. It's $20, but you get all these free games to go with it. And wait a second. Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Did you not do a family plan? I did not originally, no.
Oh, you should do it though, because even if you have 2 members on your family plan, I think it's cheaper than doing 2 individual ones.
I might look into that. Like, I had already paid $20 like way beforehand. Can you... I'm not actually quite sure. Can you combine them after the fact?
I think that you can do something. I remember that there were a few things when I was first looking into it that it was not like super inconvenient, but it wasn't like the most forward-thinking thing ever. But you should look into it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'll let you guys know how it goes.
We're dying to know, Galen.
Yeah. Well, and I'm dying to know what games she has, because when I left to actually do this recording, she was on the eShop and she called over the counter and asked me, where can I find the dating sims? And I'm like, oh, no, just close the door.
There's a lot of dating sims and a lot of, what are those called? Visual novels on the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But no, the system looks absolutely great. I'm really glad that my wife is excited about it. We've actually replaced my standard dock with the special edition one, so that's now taking place where the old one was. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of using the other one as more of a charging base, kind of like in between our couches or something, a little bit more within reach as just that second charging unit.
Anything to move less.
Well, Exactly.
No, I know what you mean. Like, that's like the beauty of like digital games, because it'll be like, oh, I have to get out and change the disc or the cart or whatever. I'll just play Picross for the 9,000th time. It's downloaded on my thing.
Mine is Tetris 99. Trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it just overall, I'm excited to have the second system in the household. Where I'm really excited to play Animal Crossing with her next week. This is going to be the first game in general that I think I'm going to get 2 copies of. So this is a new one for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, also, I kind of splurged a little bit on myself, and I got myself a new set of Joy-Cons.
Oh, wow. What kind did you go for?
Well, I picked it up over at Best Buy, and they've got those neon green ones, which green is one of my favorite colors. I wish it was a little bit of a darker shade of it. And for the record, I really wish that Nintendo would just go ahead and come out with a way to customize and, like, make your own custom controllers online special order.
Are you kidding me? And kiss away all that money?
Well, I mean, Nintendo's still going to be making money. Xbox freaking does it. And yeah, it just, with how accessible and interchangeable everything is.
Get money. Galen, $80.
But they would be making so much money
no,
if they
No.
If they charge $45 per controller per side, they're actually making more money.
Wait, now you've got me extremely confused.
Okay.
What are you saying?
I've thought about this. If they were to do an online Joy-Con creation system, you could go ahead and they would charge like $45 for it, let's say.
Oh,
that's
like
just an
build
example.
your Nike kind of thing.
Yeah. So, and there's going to be like a little extra cost. You can maybe like change finishes, and that would make the controller cost a little bit extra. But I mean, they've already set up the standard of creating the different color combinations and the different color sets.
Yeah.
Honestly, that drives me crazy. Like, I just want my system to have one solid unified controller color between them.
No, I like the dual colors. I like when they're like complementary dual colors, like the blue and the orange.
And yeah.
Or like the orange and the purple.
And with some people, that's perfectly fine, and I will give that to them. It's not my cup of tea, but I can definitely see how there are people who enjoy that.
What kind of tea do you like, Galen? Lipton?
Actually, lately, I've been drinking a lot of green tea.
That's good.
I'm actually drinking a matcha ginger green tea right now.
Oh,
it's very tasty.
Green and ginger go together so nicely.
Very well. I completely off topic, but I actually I don't even add anything to it anymore. I used to put like agave nectar and rock sugar in it before, but no, this is just fine as is.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You're a real boy.
I'm a real boy
Jesus
now.
Christ. With your Animal Crossing Special Edition and your tea.
Yeah.
Well, Galen, that sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Very excited to talk more about Animal Crossing next week, too.
Yes.
The night before, my wife and I are going to be going out to a pub/bar. We're going to get a couple of drinks there. And then we're going to come home. And then at 12 o'clock, midnight, I've got the KK Slider version of Toto's Africa. That's going to go ahead and come on over the Alexa smart device. And that will be the signifier that it's time to get some Animal Crossing on.
Horribly uninteresting, this conversation. I'm very sorry, everybody.
Yeah, no.
I know that like so many people who are listening to us are like just tearing their ears out because we're talking about digital purchases. But I mean, like, I don't know. It's pretty convenient. And like, I don't know. I'm in my 30s. My knees hurt, you know? Do your knees not hurt, Galen?
On cold days, I can feel those old war injuries pick up.
Not when you know a storm is a brewing, like that old lady in Star Wars. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
I can feel those in my elbows.
Yes. Oh, my bones are aching, Annie. Storm must be coming.
God, I completely forgot about that.
No, I never forgot about it. I don't know why.
Everything from the second movie is just like a complete mental block.
I think that was the first movie. I don't know. We can't. We're not
worse.
talking about the Star Wars prequel movies or Star Wars in general on this podcast.
They've been popping up a lot on our episodes.
Unless
lately.
it's Uncle Palpy. So Galen, I have finished Kemono Heroes.
Congratulations. Now, I know... So, for people who are tuning in for the first time, give us this game... Give the elevator pitch of this game really quick.
Okay, do you like JRPGs? Wait, no. F it.
Yeah, no, try again.
Okay. Do you like elevators?
Okay, third time's a charm.
Do you like an animal with late Super Nintendo video game?
Closest so far. Keep going.
Are you drinking?
Are you?
You like whiskey? That was a spit take. That was an audible spit take.
God damn it!
I'm keeping that in. The animals' Super Nintendo styled visuals and beautiful, gorgeous pixel art in a action platformer all about animal kingdoms set in like Japanese-ish places with Japanese folklore and folklore enemies that you're fighting. And also the moon is the demon? Is the king evil? He's of the night?
Okay, that's a little weird.
The night man cometh.
Day man. You described this last time as almost with like roots or feels of something of akin to like an arcade game where
I did, yeah.
the levels are very section based as far as like what you do in that particular screen.
Wow, I'm so glad that you remember and listen to our podcast, because I neither of those. Yeah, so all right, you move on from stage to stage. I'm having a really good time with it. Well, I guess I beat it, so I had a good time with it. It can be up to 4 players, and I honestly think that would probably be really exciting and really fun to play with 4 people rather than just one. I think that it's a little bit weaker just with one person. I'll get into that in a minute.
Okay. Not to break up your flow on this, but one of the big questions that I have is that you were talking previously before about playing as one particular character, and there are 4 different characters you can play as. When you say that you have beaten it, have you gone through and played it again with a different character?
No, and I do not plan to.
Okay. Please continue and elaborate.
Yeah, so I did enjoy this game, had some fun with it, but I'm pretty much done with it. Continuing on with some likes. The music is really great and fantastical and full of like a kind of Disney thing where it feels like the music is taking you on a journey or something like that. It's not like the best music in the world, but it definitely has a whisking feel to it that really matches the gorgeous visuals.
Would you say it's like above average as far as what you could normally expect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think the sound mixing is a little bit weird though. I think you can change that in the options menu, but yeah, the music felt really appropriate for each setting that you were in, which I really like when it's so very different between stages. Another thing that I like is that there's a lot of mobility with your character. You know, you have a dash, you have a dash that you can turn into a jump. There's a lot of attacks and things that, I mean, they don't teach you anything. There's no like text in the game or anything, so they don't teach you any of this stuff, and you have to figure it out by, you know, pressing stuff and combining stuff together on your own, which I'm totally cool with. Like, whenever I pick up a controller to play a game, the first thing I do is I press every single button to see what they do. And there's lots of traversal abilities that you have, and I think each character has like a different kind of traversal move. So like the fox will get a grappling hook a little bit into the game, and then the monkey can climb on vines that nobody else can. So there's a lot of different ways to move around as each character. Each character's attack also is different. So for example, the fox, he has a very horizontal, long sweeping sword strike. And then like the cat, she has like a short katana strike that also hits a little bit behind her when she attacks too. And then her last hit in like her 3-hit combo is like an anti-air sort of going up in the air strike a little bit. And I think that that's a lot of fun to have all these differences for each character.
So it does sound like there's quite a bit of variety between playing as the different characters, which is definitely appreciated in any game, really. It really kind of beefs up that replay value. I'm kind of surprised that you're saying you're not as interested in going through again.
Yeah, so here's the reason why. I don't think that the level design is very good.
Oh, yeah. That can really kind of ruin it.
They do change things up, like with verticality and, okay, now instead of going from left to right, you're going up to down. And, that helps, but I don't feel like I'm platforming very much in this game. I feel like I'm just kind of moving from enemy to hit it. And the enemies are tough and, offer a little bit of a challenge. I didn't think this game was too hard, but it was definitely fun to like suddenly be like, oh crap, this is going crazy and this is going crazy. There's tons of enemies on screen. I have to use my screen clear bomb attack right now. And that was really fun. That's why it has like an arcadey feel to it. But I just don't think that the platforming was too good, and it didn't play to the strengths of how each of the 4 characters was slightly different. So that was a letdown. That's why I say, like, I think that this will be good with like more players, like 3 people, 4 people playing at the same time, because you're not thinking about the platforming then. You're just like, ooh, kill everything and like, oh, let's go crazy. And I think this is a great party game.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have no friends.
Does it have an online multiplayer mode?
No, we talked about that last week.
Oh, yeah. See,
where were you on that one, dipshit?
Everything. As you were talking about it, though, and especially that kind of party game atmosphere, it reminded me a little bit of my experience playing Castle Crashers. Like, I don't know if I would want to go through Castle Crashers multiple times, but I do also recognize that each of the characters do play a little bit differently when you are playing it.
Yeah. And like with Castle Crashers, that's very much a side-scrolling beat-em-up, right? Like this one is kind of a side-scrolling beat-em-up. It's just that you can jump and stuff like that, and it's kind of under the guise that it's a platformer, but you don't really platform too much. At least not satisfyingly.
Yeah, from what I understand, there's more verticality to this one, whereas Castle Crashers has more of a depth of field to it. So it's like comparing... Oh, shoot.
I have no idea where you're going with this.
Well, I'm just saying it's not an exact parallel between the two,
no.
in the core of it, I feel like they can relate that way.
Yeah, the only reason that I say that like Kemono Heroes has a feel of like a side-scrolling beat-em-up is because you're not like doing a whole bunch of platforming and you're definitely killing a bunch of enemies. It's much more of a like action hack and slash than it is a platformer.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I really enjoyed this game, but I don't want to go back to it.
That's fair.
The art and the presentation, like all of that is so gorgeous. I feel like there should have been more environmental storytelling happening. Like, I think last week I talked a bit about how there, or not last week, but 2 weeks ago I talked about how there was like no text, and I was like, come on, give me some text. As I played through the whole thing and, played through the story as well, I see how they really committed to the no text thing, and I'm all for that. I think that they just should have had a little bit more textless scenes, like little simple scenes to set things up, like just sort of setting the scene of like, where are you? What is happening in this village? What's your motivation? Because from the very beginning, you have no motivation of like whom you're fighting, why you're fighting, and why is there a boss here? Who, like, oh, the moon is the enemy?
Yeah.
What? I just wish that there was a couple of little scenes like that to set it up, because otherwise the presentation of this game is just out of this world. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
But there was one thing that I definitely want to talk about with this. When you get to the end of the game, there's like 4 worlds and 2 or 3 stages per world or something like that. It's a very quick game.
Okay.
When you get to the end of the game, spoilers, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You get killed.
Spoilers for Kemono Hero.
You get killed by the Nightman Cometh when you fight the moon, and your spirit gets resurrected in the first stage of the game.
Okay.
Which is like in a Shinto graveyard. And this is also where I wish I knew like what was happening in the village or whatever. It would make me care more about the village and the people and whatnot. But anyway, you then have to play through all the levels again to get back to the end boss and kill him. Yeah, so I'm kind of not a fan of that design decision. I think it's kind of uninspired. However, they did do some interesting things to try and mitigate that lack of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And, here I want to put out like a positive on some of the environmental storytelling. When you're in that last level and you're like going up and up and up to the moon enemy, you're seeing all of these former warriors of different, animal types that are all turned to stone, and that's what the Nightman does to you, is he turns you to stone with his
that's
cat eyes.
Weird. Okay. Okay.
So you have to progress through all of these stages again. You're playing as a spirit, and each stage is getting a little more screwed up as you progress. Whether it's the visuals and these like extremely bold like filters or layers that they put over the stage, or the music. Your character model is changing in color like with every stage as well. And at the end of each stage, there's like a little shop that you can buy a couple of different things, and it feels kind of like Legends, Dungeons and Dragons Chronicles of Mystara.
Okay.
And so you can go to the shop and you can upgrade your sword and blah, 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 blah. So you get into the shop, and then like the shop music is even screwed up. And it feels like it changes every single time. I think it might be different, but even if they don't make it different every single time, they do a really good job of making it feel like the game is like breaking down or like rotting or something like that. Like nothing feels right.
That's really kind of interesting.
Yeah, they did that in such an interesting way that was almost like breaking the fourth wall, and it felt like, I don't know, like one of those like different games that has like a commentary or something, like Yume Nikki or something like that.
Yeah.
But I knew this game didn't have a commentary, at least I was pretty sure it didn't. It doesn't. But but anyway, just nothing feels right. And I'm like, where is this going? And it was so intriguing because it was so different than the first half of the game that I played. So that was what really led me to the very end. That, and I was doing this podcast, so I wanted to talk about it at the very, very end.
How old is this game?
This is a brand new game.
How long have they been... Do you know how long they've been developing it?
Perchance? No, I have no idea. No,
okay.
No freaking idea.
Because it's weird, like the degradation of the worlds as you're going along, and that lack of a spoken narrative, on top of the possible replayability of it with playing as the different animals. I don't know if that will add to the experience or anything. I feel like I've seen more indie games lately kind of taking that approach of alternative storytelling, and I wonder if this game was trying to do that. Whether or not it succeeded is obviously up to interpretation, but I wonder if like the decisions to make the narrative a little bit more jarring and not tell you as much was definitely intentional with that kind of popularity in mind.
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly. It doesn't have like a whole lot to say or anything like that. I think it was just a really interesting design decision, and I think it did a really good job of getting me to the very end there, which is, what you want your story to do. So I give them big old claps for that, because I think that was an uninspired decision to make me replay the damn game that I just played through, but it was a quick game, so that wasn't so bad. And then also they made all these big changes that I was like, what?
Well, hey, maybe when you actually get some more friends, you'll be more inclined to play through it again.
Never. It'll never happen. Especially not in today's world.
Yeah.
So I just want to say at the end, incredible presentation for Kemono Heroes. Visuals and sound, top notch. Probably good for big old 4-player local. And if you are interested by the visuals, do check this game out. Do wishlist this game if looking at it piques your interest.
Would you recommend a full price purchase or a on sale purchase?
Not full price. I think it's like, I can't remember if it was 10 or 15 US dollars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good way to kind of rank a game as opposed to giving like numerical values or anything, because you can play a game and like, yeah, hey, it's kind of a fun experience. It's worth playing if you've got, I would wait for it to go on sale, but it's still good. Or just like, hey, they definitely, put a lot of effort to it. You should totally go for it.
Yeah, especially if you can see yourself playing this like in groups of people, or if you have like another person in the house that you play this with. This is definitely a party game.
Cool. Kemono Heroes.
Kemono Heroes. Galen, tell me what other games you've been playing this week.
Really? I will be honest, I have not gotten a whole lot of video gaming in this week in general.
Well, our listeners are let down by your inebriation. Nope, not that word. Incompetence. That's what I was going to say.
Slightly better, but okay.
It was a word that started with IN.
No, I've been working a lot this week. My wife and I went on a hike recently to the state park nearby and literally spent the entire day outside. So it was really kind of nice.
Good.
The bits of video gaming I did get in were a little sparse and a little kind of things that I've talked about before in the past.
That's great. I have been playing. Go on.
I played a little bit of not only Smash Bros, just no mode in particular, just literally just picked up and played a couple of matches. But I also played it on the 3DS as well. Kind of dusted that off literally. Well, my Switch was in the other room, and I was like laying in bed, and I'm just like, I want to play a game.
Heaven forbid we should
move. Over
move.
There, but my 3DS is right next to me. Okay, we're gonna do this.
How weird does it feel to play not only on the 3DS from the Switch to play Smash Bros, but the completely different mechanics in Smash 4 versus Switch?
Yeah, the one for the Switch feels a lot faster. I don't know if it's because I've been playing the one on the 3DS for longer, but I felt more confident when I was playing in those matches. Like
on the 3DS.
Each time my standard when I'm not making any progress, I literally just want to play a couple matches and just kind of zone out for a little bit. That go-to for me is no items except for Smash Bros. I'll set up a level 8 computer. I'll play on an Omega stage.
Did you mean Smash Balls?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
And then I'll set up a random opponent for the computer and a random opponent for myself. So I have no idea what I'm going into, but it's a 4-stock match, and let's just do it. I played with those exact same settings on the Switch, and I actually found myself having a harder time on the Switch than when I was playing on the 3DS.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. It did take me a little while to kind of like work into it, and I did get to that point where it's like, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this a little bit more now. And I don't know if that's the controller layout or the style of it or the speed, it being on a 60 frames a second versus a whatever the 3DS is.
I'm pretty sure the 3DS actually displays it at 60 frames.
Well, can it even do 60 FPS?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right.
Fakery confirmed.
I guess so.
This is years ago now, but when Smash 4 was in production and it was about to come out for the 3DS, it was a big deal that it was 60 frames, I think.
Yeah.
And then the assist trophies were 30 frames or something like that. Because I remember there was a compromise. It's another C word.
But no, I played both of those, and it was very interesting to see the contrast between them. I played a little bit more Snack World, which I've talked to death the past couple of times, so I won't get into too much detail. I do realize that I've been singing a lot of praise for the game, and I do stand by that praise that I have been giving it. But I definitely want to point out that the game is not without its own faults.
Yeah, no game is. We like to talk about the good and the bad. We critique media here on the Nintendo Everything podcast.
One critique I wanted to give for Snack World is the limitations of the camera, which took a little bit of time to get used to. So when you are in most of the dungeons, you don't have a full rotation of the camera available to you. You can rotate it around, but only at about 45 degrees angle.
Okay. Is this not a isometric game or like slightly top-down kind of game? Explain what it is.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, it is a top-down. You do have a range of motion where you can adjust the tilt of the camera itself, so you can be a little bit more, not necessarily directly flush to the ground, but it does give you some wiggle room. But again, it's like this weird 45-degree limiting cone that you can go ahead and rotate the camera around. Like, it doesn't want you to spin it all the way. Sometimes it gets a little weird because you can't find any good angle when you're going down a hallway of, I really want to see further down there, but the direction that the map is making me go, which can also be a problem. The maps are kind of randomly generated. So having that camera limitation can really kind of throw things off for you if you're not really focusing in. And the other thing is, it's not always like that either. As I said, the maps are randomly generated, so I was going through the first dungeon again because I needed to grind some materials from it. And the very first stage of that temple, it turned into this behind the back, going down a single hallway perspective. Like, there were no paths to branch out or explore the dungeon. It was literally just straight corridor, fight a couple of enemies, and go a little slow so you don't walk over the traps that are on there. And the game had never done that before. It had never done that any of the times I've gone through this map.
Ho ho ho.
It was surprising to me, and the game did not give any clues that was something to expect. So the camera would be one of my biggest gripes with the game itself. But
Gotcha.
The rest of it is still absolutely fantastic.
Is this a full price game as well? I think it's a $50 game, no?
It's anywhere between 40 and 60.
Like most retail games.
Well, yeah, but...
Hey, PSA to everybody, if you are a Japanese speaker, on the Japanese eShop, I think it's still going on this whole weekend and until whatever, Level 5 is doing a super sale on the eShop, Japanese eShop only.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, for Snack World, Yokai Watch 1, and Lady Layton, whatever the proper title of that is.
Oh, nice.
All of them are 1,000 yen, which is just under 10 US dollars, or maybe more. I have not looked at what the conversion rates are right now with the craziness in the world, but that's about $10 for each of those games. But it only has Japanese in it, so you have to be a Japanese speaker to understand it. But just FYI, you can get those games for $10 on the Japanese eShop.
That's pretty cool. I absolutely love Level 5 games, so that sounds awesome. To reiterate what we were talking about before, though, it is a $50 game.
Okay, cool. I thought so.
Worth every penny, if you ask me.
Well, anyway, Galen, that sounds just lovely, as Snack World continues to sound.
Mm-hmm. It has been a very tasty game.
Ugh. And very quickly, I just want to wrap this up by saying that I have been playing a little bit of Murder by Numbers. I'm going to have some better impressions on this next week when I get some thoughts through my head. I just started playing it.
It's Pictocross with murder.
Picross, not Pictocross.
Oh, sorry.
Come correct. Yeah, so do you like 1997? Or at least paying lip service to 1997? Do you like Picross?
I mean, that's been basically the beginning of this entire episode, so continue, please.
Galen, don't be cute, okay? You're too old.
You were the one who was talking about Rodney Dangerfield at the beginning of the episode. So.
Rodney Dangerfield is like way earlier than 90s, like 80s for sure. Like
he's like late 80s, yeah. Is he late 80s or mid 80s?
No, Rodney Dangerfield was getting popular in the 70s and he had his heyday in the 80s and then a little bit into the 90s.
I don't know. When did that movie come out where he was a dog? Like a cartoon dog?
Oh,
that's the Rodney
past
Dangerfield
his prime.
I remember.
That's past his prime. Like, for example, Caddyshack, that came out in like, I think 81 or something like that. That's like saying like, oh, Nicolas Cage, when was he in all of those movies in the red box? That's his prime. God. Galen, you're the Nicolas Cage of podcasters.
No respect.
Oh, shut up. Don't. Again, what did I say just a couple minutes ago? Don't be cute. You're too old for it.
Bitch, I'm adorable.
So yes, this is a bit of a Murder by Numbers. This is a bit of a like visual novel, murder mystery mixed with Picross. I really like the visual presentation of this. I think the character designs are ridiculous, but in a good way. And I love the menus and everything like that. It's just, very highly stylized, influenced by, well, I shouldn't say this, but possibly influenced by Atlas games or something like that. The music is really fun and boppy, and It's just like a bubbly game. Tonally it's a little bit weird because it is dealing with murder, but it's fun.
It's preppy murder.
Yeah, sure. Never thought about the combination of those words together.
I think about it all the time. What are you talking about?
Right. Some dislikes I have is that it's a little hard to tell who is talking because the way that it's set up is that it moves from screen to screen just like a visual novel does. You don't like walk around or have a character model or anything like that. It's just like 2D everything and pictures. So it's a little hard to tell who's talking in the UI because they have like a text box, then they have right above that the person's name. And maybe the name should be bigger or a different color for each character, depending on who's speaking at the time, or they should have the location of the person's name be displayed on the same like screen real estate as the character that they're on the screen. So for example, it might be like a character on the left of the screen and right of the screen talking to each other. So it would be helpful if the character on the left has their name displayed on the left. The character that goes away when the other character starts talking, and the character on the right. You follow me, right?
Yeah.
So something like that I think would really help, because leading into another dislike that I have, I think that all of the characters kind of talk the same. I think that just, it could have used one more revision in the writing stage. It could have used a couple of editors to go in and specifically write dialogue for characters, because all the characters that I've met, even though I don't really like any of them so much right now, they do have different personalities, but they're just not written different enough. Everybody just kind of sounds the same.
The actual character dialogue kind of blends together.
Yeah, so like I could read a whole dialogue box and not know who spoke it. And it shouldn't be like that all the time, you know?
Yeah.
It should be like, okay, well, this girl, like, she's kind of like a little bit bitchy and she's competitive, but she maybe has a heart of gold. She should talk a little bit different from the middle-aged, older, bumbling, kind of chubby police officer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, and this is something, I don't know, I really have to think about this a lot longer, and I'll talk about it, next week. But there is a gay character in it, and he's the hairdresser, and his personality is that he's gay. And it's like, come on, Yeah, I got to think about that, especially about the representation of that gay character who is very much just a gay character.
Well, I do know that you thoroughly enjoy the puzzles in the game, so I'm hoping that it turns out much better for you.
Yeah, I do. I will say that I recommend this for sure. If you have not played a Picross game before and you're like, oh, I don't know what Picross is and I don't know if I like it or whatever, this is a good game for beginners. They have like a beginner mode as well, and they actually teach you, like, here is how you should problem solve this. It's definitely a logic puzzle and a problem solving puzzle. It's, slightly similar to Sudoku, except I think it's maybe a little bit easier and faster than Sudoku. Mm-hmm. So they explain to you, like, here's your thought process. You want to count from this area, you want to count from that area, then you can deduce that, okay, this block needs to be filled in or whatever. I don't think that many other Picross games that I've played have really explained that, at least not in this well of detail. So this is a good recommendation for beginners.
I'm really hoping that they come out with a Phoenix Wright themed Picross game, because I just want to be able to solve puzzles and just hear them go, take that! Hold it!
They have some, like, Phoenix Wright-esque dialogue things happening. Like, there'll suddenly be like a big flash of white, and then like a kind of like, I don't know, hit 04 in frickin' RPG Maker 2000, where it just goes like that. And even though nobody hits anybody, it's just supposed to be like a surprising thing or a shocking thing, or somebody's yelling or something like
Weird.
that. Yeah, and I don't know how much I like that, because I feel like they're using it like a little bit inappropriately, or not inappropriately, but just like not to the correct effect. And I don't know. I really have to think about this a lot more.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll look forward to hearing about it next week.
So, Galen, just before we move on to the news, what time is it?
I believe it is sponsor time?
That's correct.
Yes! Haha! I got it right.
This week, the podcast is sponsored by
Koei Tecmo! Hey, Koei Tecmo!
What up, guys and girls and gender
Nice.
non-conforming people? What up,
Yes.
human beings and citizens of the universe?
What's up, my peeps?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, they're just all little marshmallows in the shape of, like, little chicks.
Stop talking.
That's all Koei Tecmo is, just little marshmallows.
So, lovely listeners, Koei Tecmo's thrilling 1 vs 1000 franchise is back and better than ever in Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate. A new Musou action game that features characters from Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, and the gods of ancient history joining together in an all-out fight against Odin and swarms of his evil army. All-star characters and fan favorites from past Koei Tecmo games like Ryu Hayabusa and Joan of Arc join the Ultimate cast, boosting the number of playable characters to a staggering count of 177.
That still boggles my mind that there are so many characters.
177 unique characters.
Yeah.
Other unique features include the addictive and fun new Infinity Mode, the ability to swap sacred treasures among characters, and the addition of 2 new endings.
Ooh.
Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate is available right now on the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and digitally on Windows PC via Steam. The new game is available as both a standalone title for those who haven't yet experienced Warriors Orochi 4, or as a special upgrade pack for those who already own the previous game. Thank you, Koei Tecmo.
Thank you so much, Koei Tecmo.
Keeping the lights on here at Nintendo Everything Podcast.
Yeah.
So what's going on this week in the news? What's happening? Nothing. Nothing's happening because it's all canceled. That's what.
Everybody is hiding.
So E3 was officially canceled this week. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, where we were talking about the importance of E3.
Yeah, this has been an interesting train ride to go on because we've been talking about the importance of E3 as an industry. We've seen other similar impactful game conventions and events like GDC need to step aside for the betterment of general health.
Yeah. All of these are really responsible decisions that these people have been making, or these organizations. So this is good.
Absolutely. Now, it's very sad because I think this is, like, ever since I got into video games, I think this is the first year that an E3 event has just been straight up canceled.
Yeah, I think so.
That it's very interesting to see how these things are developing. Like, I understand the reasoning behind their decisions on this, but this is going to have lasting impact on the gaming industry.
Right. And, I was kind of surprised by a lot of the response that I saw online, just from, like, consumers, of people being like, good, I'm glad it's canceled, I hate E3.
Ugh.
And I'm like, okay, but you're just, like, so far removed from what actually happens there. Like, okay, you don't like it because you don't like the hype cycle, totally understand. You don't like it because you don't want to pay attention for 4 days, or you don't like that, like, video game big news happens there and it's not spread out. I don't even know what your reasoning is. But like I said a couple of weeks ago, news for the fans is just a sliver of what happens at E3 and what is important. So much more happens at E3 than that.
No, absolutely. And let's be completely honest here. A number of different companies have already gone on to say that they are looking for alternatives of how to honor that quote unquote spirit of E3.
Yeah.
In which they are referring to how this hype can be delivered to the gaming community, not necessarily what you were talking about. But I think the meetings and the elevator pitches from indie developers and things like that, I agree with you. I think that's a huge part that not a lot of people see, that is a real shame that stuff is not happening.
Absolutely. Those are the things that are going to be the most affected by E3 not happening. Like, the news to consumers is going to be fine. The big publishers getting their promotion out, they're going to be more or less fine, but the indie devs getting to meet with multiple publishers, smaller studios, making connections at different events, at after parties. God, I mean, just there's so many different things that go on before E3, during, and after E3 when people are in town, just to try and make connections.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was what I, love to go to E3 for, is like I'm meeting all these different people working in my exact field or working in a similar field within the games industry. I love to meet passionate people and perform interviews and, give them a little bit of a pedestal to stand on so that way they can shout their passion. I love giving people and creators that platform.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of the thing, that especially since I started doing this podcast with you, and honestly looking at gaming news events and things like that from kind of a different perspective, it's really kind of opened my eyes as to the importance and the different way of looking at how these things actually go.
Yeah. I hope that we were able to like kind of give that impression to our listeners as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways that we can talk about this. How do you want to focus on this one?
Well, I guess I want to talk about like what's going to happen instead of E3. Let's talk about that first. So, I mean, that's what concerns the people listening to us. Hello, everybody listening to us.
Hi, how's it going?
An hour into the podcast.
Yeah. Remember, send your emails.
Please. We would like more emails, please. So how is it going to affect the people listening? I think it's not really going to affect people that much. This is, of course, speculation, but based on the slight reactions that we've heard that you touched upon before, most big developer publishers that have a press conference or a digital event or something like that are kind of hinting or going in the direction of being like, yeah, we're still going to do something online. Like something's going to happen, I'm sure that they are just as... like they've had the rug pulled out from underneath them just as much as the consumers.
Yeah.
So for people listening, I think that we're still going to have that like summer, that big summer push to look forward to, because E3, from a business perspective, E3 generally drives business strategies into summer, fall, and winter. So it's in everybody's best interest, the consumer and the producer, to do something in summer that keeps that momentum going.
Yeah. I remember when I was first getting into video games and I was first heard about E3, it was this event that I would only read about in magazines. There were a couple of screenshots and it was always kind of cool because here are all these new games that I've never even heard about before. And then as the internet started to evolve and become more commonplace, we got to see the online articles and the announcements would be a little bit bigger. And I feel like that's what kind of spawned this whole aspect of, the time of E3 being where a good majority of news starts to come out. And when they started to do the press conferences, where it was, I remember those very early ones that I started to watch, they were so much more geared towards shareholders. There would be long stints where they would go about sales figures and, hey, well, we've sold this many units and
1
everything.
million troops.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember that? That was like Konami's press conference, I think it was. I don't remember what year it was, but it was a while ago now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Not too far away from, attack its weak point for massive damage. But it slowly started to evolve more into a consumer a showcase more than it was based on original news and everything like that. And ever since Nintendo started to do their Nintendo Direct a couple of years ago, we've seen more and more companies kind of following suit. They've been realizing that this is a better way to go about it. They don't need the live shows. They don't need all those, big conferences and events.
Yeah, and we've seen so many people follow suit with them. Like Devolver Digital does a digital thing. PlayStation does their PlayStation... What the is that called?
It's called State of Play.
State of Play. God, that's such a bad title.
No, absolutely. And everybody has their own, we've got the Shovel Knight Direct, whatever they were calling it.
Oh, Yacht Club Presents.
Yeah, that's the one. Bethesda has even done their own version of it. They tried that one year, and then for some
they had
reason
pre-recorded skits.
Yeah, and then they went back for some reason to the live show that absolutely everybody hated.
Because Todd Coward had to come out on stage and be like, Fallout 76 had a few complaints.
But now it's okay because we've put a battle royale mode in it.
I hate when they make like self-referential like jokes where they're like, "Oh, we released a game and it wasn't a full game." It's like, oh, you shit-eating grin, you know? Like, it's
Absolutely.
really bad for consumers.
I 100% agree, but getting sidetracked.
That's what we do here.
Most companies have been slowly evolving into this direct presentation that just happens to coincide around this date. When Ubisoft, for example, said that, well, we're exploring some digital options to bring the E3 experience directly to the people, it's like, yeah, but honestly, that should have been something you guys were working on beforehand. Like, I feel like Microsoft just wanted to, showcase another car live, and that's the reason why they haven't done it yet so far.
This is interesting too, especially for this happening in a year where the new generation of consoles is supposed to happen, right?
Right?
So, I mean, PlayStation, Sony, they weren't going to be there. They were planning on doing their own thing in the first place. But Xbox had that wet fart of a console announcement last year. And so they're going to do something this year. Well, they were going to do something big this year. So, I don't know.
And they probably are. They're just probably going to take it off the stage. I mean, if you think about the formula that their conferences are actually set up in, it would not be that difficult to switch it over to a digital presentation. They can still even record it. Like, they can still get a couple of, Microsoft employees all gathered together in an auditorium and do it that way. It just won't have the grandeur of doing it at the Galen Theater over in Los Angeles.
Galen Theater.
That's actually a thing.
I know. I sent you a picture of it. It was right by where I stayed next to E3 last year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because I think, pretty much everybody can do this digital conference. They've been sort of trickling into it. Now that everybody's going to be either forced to do that or nothing else, how is this going to affect future years when the coronavirus is hopefully, taken care of and there's a vaccine available for everybody and E3 gets held as normal in 2021? How many people are going to be like, you know what, we already did this digitally. Like, let's just do kind of like what Nintendo does. We'll just have like demos and we'll just make it simpler and smaller for ourselves. And then they do the digital stuff because this is already pushing people into this direction.
And that's the thing, like the hype in these conferences are so overwhelming. I think over the past couple of years, they've actually been overshadowing what they've actually been bringing to the floor.
Or they've been really, really annoying. Like, people shout, especially last year, people shouting out during the conferences about stuff.
Hey, Keanu Reeves is pretty awesome. So, I understand that excitement.
I don't know. It's so weird because whatever. I don't want to get on that.
Yeah.
Never mind. So,
and when I think about it, like the past couple of years, I've been more excited about the conferences and everything that they are showcasing because that is just basically a summary of what they've got on the floor. And yes, there are interviews. Yes, there are, sometimes some things that couldn't make it into those conferences that are still on the show floor, but I don't remember learning as much about them as I did in that, 2-hour time span. So I think when it comes to a consumer level, that we're not going to see much of a difference there.
Yeah, if anything, I think it's going to be more efficient because if it's going to be pre-recorded stuff, that's all edited and whatnot, it's just going to be a way more efficient, faster, dense way of receiving all that information. And I am all for that. I got my biological clock and my real clock is tick-a-tocking right now. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. I will already am well aware that you are lying to me in regards to what you guys are showing me. Like, I don't care if it's, oh, hey, this is a live person playing this game. Don't mind, these scripted scenes and everything. Whoops, looks like the controller died. Wink, wink. It's like, okay, come on, just get on with it. I've got other shit to do.
Like, do you remember, like, Ubisoft, I don't even know if it was last year, but it was definitely the year before, if it wasn't last, where they did, like, okay, gamers playing together. Hey, Kelly, check over there. Oh man, I don't know. There's like 5 guys over there. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my god, that scripted
that's the
team
worst.
speech is the worst.
That's the worst. Everybody hates it, and I can't believe that they still did it. You know,
everybody makes fun of it. Like,
yeah.
I loved after they came out with the first trailer for Anthem.
Ugh.
Then all of the videos who were making fun of it, and this is what, like, you know, an actual gamer would sound like playing, and it's just a guy who's like, hey, guy on your left. All right. Oh, was it? Oh, frick. I've got like 7 of those already. Come on, let's just keep on moving.
Or if it's a 12-year-old, then they're screaming.
Yeah, that too. Those videos are fun.
I want some chocolate milk. Did you see that one?
Mom!
Yeah, that's a classic one. You pity!
I do want to emphasize, though, that I am in 100% agreement with you that I don't think a lot of people are, especially the ones who are saying, you know, I hate the hype, you know, let E3 die, you know. Let the E3 die. Burn it away if you have to. More Star Wars quotes.
Oh, that's what that was? I was like, that's from something.
But yeah, there most certainly is a difference between what the consumers get to see and what the general public is, and not even like the ones who get to go to the show. Like just general people who are tuning in and watching. And what actually happens on a business level, both pre, during, and post.
Yeah, because there's all, like, on the show floor, like, there's, you know, the genuine lights, camera, theatrics in E3, but there's also all of these areas that are basically super boring, basically cubicle setup, little offices, and they are very boring, but that's where, like, so many other people are, and that's where I had so many meetings last year, just behind closed doors, where they were like, hey, here's our game. We haven't announced it yet, so you can't talk about it yet, but here, play this alpha build or this beta build of it.
Yeah.
Here, you know, do this interview. This is, you can't take footage of this because this is in bad shape, but here's a demo for it. We just don't want, you know, people to think that this is indicative of the game, kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's all of that kind of stuff happening, and that's where so many people are meeting with each other. They're like devs collaborating with devs or whatever.
Well, and that's something else that I want to actually bring up, and I don't know if you were planning on talking about this later. The demos and the actual gameplay experience that people do get to get while at these E3
sure, let's talk about it.
You said it yourself, you know, here's these pre-alpha builds, here are these beta builds of this game that we are creating. I remember on your, when you were guesting on the Nintendo Fuse podcast, I think it was Barry who actually mentioned that this could be an evolution of how we see E3 go on and bringing more demos directly to the, you know, the consumers of games that they are announcing and games they are launching. And I don't really see them doing that, but I see a couple companies trying it, and I think it's going to turn out poorly if they do.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, is when you have a consumer-focused demo, you want that to be as indicative of the final product as you want it, or as it can be. That, or at least just not have a bajillion different bugs or something in it. Because, I mean, I've played so many things where it's like, yeah, you clipped all the way through the ground. Like, sorry, this is a beta build. It's fine.
Exactly.
But that's something that, like, you don't want to release in a demo. Even if the demo is, you know, something like Octopath Traveler, where it's like many years before the game actually comes out. Not even many years, but just like a year before the game comes out. It's going to change a bunch. It's just that, like, I think people don't realize how broken a lot of these demos are that we play behind, that's off the show floor, behind doors, because they really are broken, and people would freak out and they would record footage of it, and then that's on the internet where it's like, yo, check out such and such game. And like, even if people know, like, you know, intelligent people know that this is a beta, no publisher can risk Joe Schmo seeing that on the internet, whether it's like years later or at the very time that, you know, it came out, and seeing like really bad footage of this game looking like crap or running like crap or whatever, and then being like, oh, I'm not going to buy this game. That loses them a sale. They don't want those kinds of demos to come out to the public. So I think that people just don't realize how broken they are, and that's why we really aren't going to see many new demos happening on the eShop instead of at events.
Sometimes the demos that are intended to go out onto the public, like the backlash that you can get from those experiences can sometimes completely change the game for the negative. Matt McMuscle actually came out with a recent
I was just about to bring this up.
Yeah. He recently came out with an episode of what happened with Resident Evil 6. God. And it is a fantastic example of a demo that came out for a very hot AAA game that actually hindered the game's progress as a whole.
Yeah.
Fantastic video. Highly recommend. Obviously, you've seen it before, but...
it just came out the other day.
Yeah. Call this my... a special additional DLC. Go watch that What Happened video. It's fantastic.
We'll put it in the description if I remember.
There you go. Yeah. But no, when Barry was talking about that, it's like I like this idea of trying to make more of an at-home experience for it and having it more involved. I honestly have always believed that one of the important things on a consumeristic level, making it more accessible and making it more obtainable for somebody who can't spend, $1,500 to go over to LA for a week or weekend just to be able to play a couple of games. Just coming out with a demo isn't just the answer. It's not the easy answer for it.
Yeah, I hope that something does come together for a big summer push because of, like I mentioned before, E3 does drive the business strategies for the rest of the year. So it's in everybody's interest to do this. So I hope so, because I like reporting on this stuff, and I like, at least via email, I can reach out to a whole bunch of different devs and put them on the podcast and be like, yo, let's talk about your game.
Absolutely.
It's a shame we don't have Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger and the ePotch would be great, so that way we could just time travel.
That would be effective.
I love
Although
Chrono Trigger.
if you could time travel, you would probably just go back to the 90s so you could just play Chrono Trigger for years until things start to get bad, and then you go back in time so you can play Chrono Trigger all over again. I see this being a cycle with you.
I don't know. The 90s weren't great. Like, if you lived through them, like, you know that they were just a decade.
They were just a decade.
People just romanticize it for no reason. So anyway, coronavirus, Chrono Trigger coronavirus. Coronavirus. We're seeing the coronavirus affect a whole bunch of different industries. We're just talking about video games here, so that's what's up. But of course, it's affecting major industries, trade, sports shows, just any gathering where people get together in groups of like 20 or more. Everybody's like, shut it down.
Absolutely.
It's serious. So like, everybody just be careful out there. Wash your hands.
Absolutely.
Try and do what you can.
And I mean, if
we're seeing Pokemon Go getting affected.
Yeah. Nintendo is having their employees work from home.
Right.
In order to, stifle the spread of this thing.
But anyway, keeping it upbeat, we got, I don't know if this is really upbeat, but we don't really talk about rumors too much on the podcast, but this seems to be a bit more of a substantiated rumor. VentureBeat is claiming to have some info about 2 Nintendo Directs coming very soon.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a Nindies showcase happening on the 18th of this month, and then a proper Nintendo Direct happening on the 26th. So maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. We're super overdue for a Direct, so that's why everybody's freaking out. And like, I don't know, people are losing their minds about it. I think it is so unhealthy. I get that people want a Direct, they want information, but like, video games already exist. Like, just play something. Like, I agree with you. There should, like, we should have a Direct by now. And like, business-wise, I don't think that's good for Nintendo to have gone this long without just like some little small thing, But yeah. I don't know. That's such a topic that's been talked to death. I think that people are freaking out about it. I think that that's unhealthy. Play your video games that you already own. You ain't played every video game you already own, okay?
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I kind of took this with a grain of salt.
Oh, like, of course,
I read the source article that this was coming from, and honestly, I didn't really buy a lot of the sources that they were quoting when they were talking about it. Not to like call them out or anything, but I feel like this was more throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping that this is the time that it actually sticks.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, like, people like forever were talking about like Wonderful 101, and everybody was like, "That's BS. Nintendo owns it. It can't go to Sony," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, meanwhile, I'm over here like, whatever. And like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. Rumors can be true, and I don't know. Maybe it's BS. Maybe it isn't. Like, that's why it's a rumor, and that's why it's not interesting to really talk about. Like, oh, maybe it's true. Maybe it isn't. We'll just have to see. Great commentary.
Exactly. Yep. I hope we get one, but yeah, just I guess keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
It might happen.
Like you wouldn't hear.
Right.
Slightly on that topic, the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition game got a page on the eShop in Europe and Oceania, so that's pretty cool. Which means, I don't know, like, if you want to grasp at straws, you can be like, ooh, maybe there's going to be a direct happening soon. Because it was also, it was rated in South Korea, the game was, which is indicative
Xenoblade Direct.
Oh my god, I would love that. How about Xenoblade Chronicles getting, Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles Cross, enhanced port coming to the Switch, and then Xenoblade Warriors. Let's do that.
That's Xenoblade S.
Why S?
Because of Persona 5S?
Oh. Well, no, because S means scramble.
Oh. Xenoblade Scrambled.
Galen.
Xenoblade Sunny Side Up.
You can't talk anymore. You can't be on this podcast anymore.
Xenoblade Avocado and Toast.
Jesus. And then lastly, we got a Lego Super Mario set revealed.
What?
Yeah, kind of interesting.
Yeah, this looks weird and I like it.
There is I think like a 1 minute sort of teaser commercial for this. They're going to have like more information coming out soon. I don't even think there's like a date for when it's going to come out, but it's like a Lego set, but it's not a traditional Lego set. They're marketing it as a social, interactive, and collaborative experience for kids.
Yeah, this is really weird. It looks like there's some sort of like NFC connectivity as far as like being able to interact with some of the other Lego pieces. You've got this Mario that it looks like it's got a screen in both of its eyes and its chest to be able to relay information. It's really weird, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's not a traditional Lego set by any means. It seems a little bit like a board game kind of set more than anything, where you build like these little things that connect to each other, and they're kind of like little parts of a stage or something. So Mario will jump on a Goomba, and like maybe NFC is what's inside that, and then Mario will make like a sound, and he'll get coins. And his chest, like that little screen in his chest, has like a timer on it plus coins. So it seems a lot like a board game to me.
The timer bit is what kind of threw me off. It's just like, okay, what exactly is going on here that something is timed? But yeah, you've got me interested. I want to know a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so this will be something to look forward to. Apparently this has been in the works for over 4 years between Lego and Nintendo.
Wow. I wonder if that was like developing an idea or more of just trying to clear out how the IP sharing is going to work.
Yeah, I think it's more on the business end of things that's why I want like the actual practical use of it. But it is pretty cool that it's, a very unique product. It's not just like a Lego set that has Mario characters in it. I know a lot of people probably want that, but this is cool too. I think that this would be really fun to have for kids that are probably like a little bit older, like maybe 7 or 8 or something like that, to get together with their friends or get together with their little brother and little sister and play these kinds of interactive things where you build things. That's good for a child's brain. So this is cool.
Yeah, this is kind of neat. It's very Nintendo in the sense where I can see little kids who this is probably what it's geared and aimed towards, going out and actually having a lot of fun with it. And then on the other hand of that, I can see the collectors like enjoying the novelty of it and wanting to pick up a couple of pieces. So while this is very early to say on, I can see this doing kind of well for them. So this will be interesting to keep an eye on.
I'm going to keep an eye on Baby Bowser and Yoshi because I saw them both in the set.
Yes, they were.
So on to additional DLC where we're going to recommend you some crap we saw on the internet.
Yeah, boy.
We're going to talk about Matt McMuscles, his new video in his series of What Happened, where he talks about Resident Evil 6.
I feel like every once in a while, like, he keeps popping up with a good video for us to recommend and watch.
Dude's great. He makes really good content, and he's just, like, naturally funny and just super chill. He's just a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out. Galen, what is your additional DLC for this week?
So the one that I planned on talking about is a video that I watched this week called The Decade-Long Quest for Shadow of the Colossus's Last Secret. It's a YouTube video by somebody named Jacob Geller. I don't know if that is intended as his full name or what's going on there. But yeah, it's a little documentary. It's about 15 minutes, 20 minutes long. And it all goes about this forum chat that started as people started to dive into the secrets of the Shadow of the Colossus game, asking themselves, is this really all there is to the game itself? Because
Mario can find Luigi at the top of Princess's Castle in Mario 64.
Well, and I mean, originally there were, I think they said, like 78 different colossi that were scheduled and ready to make for the game.
It's pronounced Colossuses.
Colossuses?
Colossuses?
Sure, why not?
Colosseia.
I'll place that correct pronunciation right next to Billith, so. But, they originally started with like 78 different colossi enemies, and that dropped down to 48, and then 32, and then the 16 that we got. So it wouldn't be too hard to imagine that there was a 17th Colossus. And that is basically what this video is about, in the quest of trying to find out, is this actually a thing? Because there were a lot of unanswered questions, and a lot, like, there's a door that nobody knew how to open in the game, and it was very deliberately placed there. Yeah, it's a very good video. There is a little part in it that I do feel like could lead to some more in-depth conversation, but maybe of a different time. It's in regards to when the faith of the fact that there is some hidden secret in the game starts to become questioned, and it becomes almost this religious experience of they believe in it, so them believing in it is more important than the actual result.
Oh, that's just nerds with too much time. Like, play another game. Like, just keep playing games, keep consuming media.
And they kind of address that too, but there is almost this like spiritualism and this crisis of faith that kind of gets alluded to is in it as well, which could also come up with some good debate, I feel. So, you know what? I'm going to propose that if you guys watch the video and you do feel like talking about it, shoot me a tweet, and yeah, this could be interesting.
No, this is so stupid and pathetic. Like, imagine if somebody was just like, oh, I need to keep revisiting this game over and over again because I'm just obsessed with the stories and the lore, and like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. Anyway, my additional DLC is Breath of Fire 3.
Wow.
And the importance of character progression.
And you will see no progression with this character. Oni, please continue.
This is just a lovely little video. It's a little bit of like, not study, I don't know, it's just like a short little examination video about one of the lovely little slivers of Breath of Fire 3. I've been on a Breath of Fire kick lately. I've been replaying Breath of Fire 2. Like, I ain't got a whole bunch of other video games to play. Why am I replaying that game? I love it so much, and I love the world of Breath of Fire and the centuries-long gaps between the games. It's just fascinating. Like, Capcom really has something special there with Breath of Fire, and I would love to see them revisit this franchise so badly.
You know, I'm really glad that you're really enjoying this game. I mean, some people would say, you know, why are you spending so much time on a game? Like, kind of get over yourself. There's tons of other games to play. You got to keep
I already
on
made that joke.
Media,
I already made the joke.
I made it better.
You've never. Anyway, if you've never played Breath of Fire 3, check out this little video, because then you might be like, oh, that's really cool. Like, they really did put a whole bunch of effort into like this little stuff. You know what? Maybe I will check out Breath of Fire 3. Or if you are a super crazy person like me on Breath of Fire series, first off, why aren't we friends? Why aren't we talking right into the podcast? Second off, watch this video because boy, Breath of Fire 3 is great.
You know, the Breath of Fire series is always one of those ones that I should really give more time to, and
Everyone should, yeah.
Yeah, I might actually pick it up on the Switch with the Switch Online because it's free. It's
yeah, Breath of Fire 1 and 2 are on the Switch's online thingy.
Yeah, 3 was the one for the PlayStation, right?
3 was for the PlayStation. They made a sort of port for it for the Vita, or not the Vita, the regular PSP. You can buy it on the Vita though.
Oh yeah,
and then that has widescreen support.
Nice. I do still have my Vita. I found it in
trash
the other day. The Vita was a good system. I just don't think it was marketed right.
Yeah. So now on to our most draconian segment.
It's listener mail. Was that draconian enough? I don't know. I really don't know how to sound like a dragon.
Apparently they sound like Sean Mockery. Not Sean Mockery? What the fuck? Shit. Connery.
Sean Connery and Colin Mockery are now the same person. This is my headcanon.
Those are two human beings I haven't thought about for at least 12 years. Oh, God. Write into us at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Send in all of your James Bond improvisational skits to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
I'll have the rapists for 500. I wasn't even trying to do Sean Mockery presentation right there, or impersonation.
Isn't there a Saturday Night Live skit where he's on Jeopardy and he's just like, "That's the sound your mother made last night"?
Yes. They've done a million of those. He was a reoccurring character.
That's hilarious.
Back when Tina Fey was writing the show, I think. Anywho, if you write in, you'll get a digital hug from me. It's going to be real warm. I give good hugs.
I give digital high fives.
You get a hug and a high five from us.
Nice.
Like this recipient.
This writer-inner this week, see what I did there? Is our good old friend Leanne. Hey Leanne, how's it going?
Hey girl, hey.
So, Leanne writes in, "Heyo, how y'all doing?
Heyo.
Heyo. I'm still surviving in Coronavirus Central, at least that's what everyone thinks of Seattle right now. The place is turning into a ghost town lately. I miss writing in, but even though I haven't written in 5 ever, I still listen to your podcast while at work and while driving. And wanted to say, Galen, your Jack's theme reference wasn't lost on the true fans. Hashtag fake fan Oni. Hashtag JK love you bae."
Thank you for listening to the podcast, Leanne.
Thank you for joining me in the Samurai Jack theme song, which I thoroughly enjoy, nostalgically. I'm super excited for the new Samurai Jack game. I grew up with the series and love how faithful the upcoming game is. And it got me to thinking, though, why isn't Cartoon Network putting out more games like this? I would love a Powerpuff Girls game, and to be honest, I would want it to be a turn-based RPG with quick-time events and a partner system, like Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. That actually sounds pretty awesome.
It really does.
And I would love to enlist enemies, too, and it could work in the story because there would have been crazier scenarios in the show. I like where you're thinking. I like where your head's at, Leanne. So, my question to you this week is, what Cartoon Network / Nickelodeon / Adult Swim, etc. cartoon would you like to see come back in the form of a game? And what genre would you like to see it presented in? Love you too, keep up the good work, and stay safe, boys. Thank you very much for writing in, Leanne. You stay safe as well.
Thank you for writing in, Leanne. Love you.
So, this is a pretty interesting question.
This is a great
this
question.
Week. Yeah. So, Oni, I'll pass it off over to you. I'll just say nostalgic cartoon series, because I feel like that pretty much sums up this category.
Yeah.
Would you like to see in a video game, and what style of game would it be in?
So here's the thing, is that a lot of them actually already have video games, especially in the Super Nintendo era. So some games that come to mind, or some series that come to mind that already have games, are things like Rocko's Modern Life. That was like a platformer in the style of like Earthworm Jim, if I remember correctly. Then Gargoyles. Do you remember that cartoon? That was a great one.
Yeah, I actually, when Disney Plus came in, that was the first show that I watched on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then Gummy Bears, and then I just stopped.
What was it? The sweetness overload for you? Did you get sugar tooth? Sugar tooth? What?
What? Gummy
Toothache. Toothache.
Have you never seen Gummy Bears?
I've never read a dictionary.
They're bouncing every here and there.
Anyway, I think though if we got like modern ones, I think that Rocko's Modern Life could be kind of like you're working at your phone sex line thing, but you're constantly
that could be fun.
But you're trying to solve puzzles, and it would be sort of like a Catherine situation where you had two very different distinct modes of play, where like you would go about your day and you would meet up with your friends and all the different characters, and then you would go back to your work during the day, instead of like, you know, in Catherine there's like the nighttime drinking rum at the bar, and then during your nightmares you're doing the puzzles. Instead, on Rocko's Modern, it would be the daytime the nighttime would be with your friends, then the daytime would be working your 9 to 5 with your sex phone operating job. And I don't know exactly what kind of a job that would be. Maybe it would be like Yakuza, where it would be like you have to choose the right things left and right or whatever, but I don't know, that couldn't be like a full thing, a full game.
That's really interesting. But I would not have called that combo.
The concept is there, right? I don't know what they would have to do exactly with the phone thing, but it's there.
All right.
Gargoyles, I would like to see definitely an action exploration kind of game. Maybe something similar to, I don't know if this is like too on the nose, but like Batman Arkham City, where you have like, I guess it's technically an open world, but you have like a lot of direction, and you have like a big sandbox that you're in. It's not a huge open world, but you have your city, a portion of your city that you explore, and you know, you're helping things out. And I think that would be like a perfect little fit for Gargoyles, and you could switch between all the different Gargoyle characters to play as, and each of them would play a little bit differently and have different skills that you could get into things. I think that would be fun.
I also think that the day and night mechanic could be very interesting in that game, because that is essentially putting you into a time limit and becomes some sort of like a time management game as you're going around.
Yeah, and you can even play as like I forgot the lady's name, but like her during the day to try and like get things to like sort of breadcrumb stuff, or to tie up loose ends for the Gargoyles at night.
Yeah. No, that'd be kind of fun. I can see that happening.
And you get to play as Demonica.
The gliding mechanic could also work really well in it too.
Yeah, of course. I have more, but Galen, let me hear a few of yours before I go on.
Well, I would love to see them do some sort of an iteration on like a Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of, there's a lot of different ways that you can go ahead and actually take that. I love the idea of some sort of crafting mechanics that are actually being put into it, especially if you like maybe base building mechanics into it as well. You can also enlist the help of other members in the game, such as what were the Avenger knockoff guys? Was it I can't for the life of me remember.
Since I've seen it.
Right? Yeah, man. But have them in there as like little Easter eggs and recruitable people, and then you can even do like create your own custom mech as you're going around, and you have to thwart it. I feel like this would kind of be in the style of those very simplistic, obviously geared towards children, but I think with the methods in that kind of gameplay that we've seen nowadays, it could actually come out as a very fleshed out game.
Yeah.
Talking about Adult Swim, though, what I desperately want to see, and this is my inner anime fanboy kind of crying out here, I want to see a Cowboy Bebop video game in the style of a GTA game. as specifically GTA 5, with the ability to switch between the different characters. Each character has their own side quests and stories that they can go into, being able to fly around to different planets and different environments.
Yeah, that'd be
like
cool.
that. The little intricacies of, okay, you need to go from Ganymede to Earth, so what are you going to do on the ship in that time? Like, it's obviously going to take a while to get there. You've got to, there's so many mini games and things like that that you can do to fill the time. Like, you can really translate the essence of what that show is into the game, and I really would love to see that.
And I could see that, like, in that game you could have like relationship levels that you're building up with your crew members as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You've also got a multiplayer element too, because you can be like, you know, Spike and Faye or Spike and Jet going on to bounty hunting missions together. And you can have each role as a particular style, kind of in the vein of like the GTA 5 heists.
Yeah. So another one that I was thinking about, like Leon already mentioned with Powerpuff Girls, you know, doing like the 1,000-year door thing. I'm super about that, but I also think that sort of like a third-person crazy action game where you switch between the 3 girls would be really great, like sort of like a platinum-styled thing, but you switch them out, like which one you're controlling, and like depending on how you switch, when you switch, and you do combos and stuff like that with the girls, and I think that would be a lot of fun.
Okay.
I'm also thinking about Johnny Bravo, and that could be like a side-scrolling beat-em-up game. That could be like a Super Nintendo Goemon style game where it's not it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up game, but it still has like towns that you visit and quests that you do. I think that would be cool.
It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up combined with a dating sim, and it always ends poorly. Another one that I thought of, that this is going to sound kind of weird, but Foster's Home for Imaginary Children as a Mario Party game.
What the hell is that?
What?
Foster's Dead Children? What?
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
What is that?
Sorry, not children.
What?
You've never heard of that?
I don't a TV.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a show on Cartoon Network. It was called Foster's
Oh my
Home for
god, don't say it a
Friends.
third time. I'm literally going to shit myself.
The worst part is I think I said it wrong all 3 times.
Oh, I've seen these pictures.
Yes. No, I just think the kookiness of the show and kind of the wild antics that they all get into, plus the characters that are in there, would fit very well in something very simplistic like a Mario Party clone.
Oh, you know what would be perfect is just a visual novel of Daria. Like, that'd be perfect for Daria.
All right.
You know, it's hard because like when I think about like all of these shows that I watched or cartoons that I watched when I was younger, you know, lots of things like the Sailor Moon games already came out. The Batman animated series game already came out. A bajillion Simpsons games already came out, right? So it's kind of hard to find ones that haven't had them yet.
My biggest challenge is trying to break away from either the trope of it's an open world exploration game like your Gargoyle idea or my Cowboy Bebop idea.
What a backhanded slap.
Was it?
Wasn't it? I thought my idea was pretty good.
No, I think it was excellent, but I'm trying to think of more variety other than either open world or side-scrolling, and I'm really struggling on like coming up with variations of that, and I think it has something to do with the complexity of the source material combined with the complexity of the game. Like, I think it would be fantastic to have an open world version of something like Ed, Edd and Eddy, because the drive to go get
like a South
cash
Park
for
style one.
Yeah, the drive to go get, money for Jawbreakers. I mean, the plot is right there. It's simplistic enough to be able to relate to, and there's so many different situations that you can put into that to make it work. But that can also be said with, your Gargoyles one on the same vein.
Right.
I don't want to be limited to just that kind of a style, but it's an interesting challenge.
But at the same time, it's a good template to show off all the characters. So like, for example, with
absolutely.
like Powerpuff Girls, there's so many memorable characters in that show for me that like I want to see all of them. And I want to interact with them. I want to see what they're doing, you know, in this little world that they have. I want them to be on my party if they can be. I want to fight the Rowdy Rough Boys and then have them be on my party later on. You know, that'd be super cool.
You know what? I'm going super old school with this one. I want them to make a Wacky Racers as a Mario Kart clone.
Speed Racer?
No, Wacky Racers. It's like all the Hanna-Barbera people in just racing together and the wacky antics that ensue.
Wacky Racers. That was actually a TV show.
That was, yeah.
I never watched that. I watched all of the Hanna-Barbera shows back then, but not this one.
Yeah, no, that was like when Cartoon Network first came out. It was like one of their early late night lineups that I just happened to like stay up late enough to watch occasionally. So,
yeah, this is from the 60s, late 60s.
Mm-hmm. A Scooby-Doo Phoenix Wright game.
Oh yeah, sure, why not? Oh, what about like Wonder Dog? I would love to see a Wonder Dog game.
Aww.
I always loved Wonder Dog. There is no need to fear. Underdog is here. Why do I keep saying Wonder Dog? Jesus.
I could also see a Speed Racer game happening.
Yeah, I mean, there have been.
With better mechanics than, you know, the Banjo-Kazooie racing game.
Oh,
why can I not think of the name of
Diddy
it?
Kong Racing.
Sure.
Banjo-Kazooie racing game, what?
In Nuts and Bolts, that's what
Oh,
what
nobody,
it's called.
you shut up. Oh, go to hell.
We took a while to get there.
Anyway, let's move on. Leanne, thank you so very much for writing in.
Thank you very much, Leanne. It's great to hear from you again.
Answering the call to our emails. We know we can count on you. Thank you again. And if you want to be just as special as Leanne, you can write into us and be our virtual friend. Get a high five and a hug at Nintendo Everything Pod at gmail.com.
Please send all of your emails to us at nintendoeverythingpod at gmail.com.
Don't be cute.
I'm too old.
So what's coming up? What's coming out on NintendoEverything.com? We got a bunch of stuff happening. We're talking about like Kamiya and how like the Wonderful 101 art changed in the very first place. Along with some pictures I think we got on there. This is some translations I did from Famitsu quite a bit ago. We also had a bunch of Miyamoto Famitsu translations that I did last week. So check the archives for that if you haven't been checking that out. So much more good stuff. Stay in contact with us on the Twitter at nineverything. Also our YouTube, youtube.com/nineverything. And Galen, where he wants to talk about, what was that thing you want to talk about earlier in the episode?
Oh, the philosophical comments about my additional DLC.
On his Twitter. Say your Twitter.
At Mobius087.
Say your Instagram.
True underscore Mobius.
And then my Twitter at Oni_Dino. And then the Instagram Oni__ Dino.
2 underscores on that one.
I'm dying.
It's okay. We got through the episode. We're just fine. Oni, what is your life advice for this episode? Changing it up. I'm throwing it over to you.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't take life advice from me. You should do a hair mask every once in a while.
The hell is a hair mask?
It's a stupid term. It's basically just like soaking your hair in like coconut oil.
Oh.
Basically put coconut oil on your head sometimes.
Okay. That is...
This sucks.
That is advice.
Bad advice. I mean, it's not bad advice. It's just like hollow.
May I give some advice?
Wait, no. Shut up. Like, cancel all that. Cook for yourself. Learn how to cook.
Oh.
Extremely basic things. Extremely basic things are very easy to do. When you start out at anything, you're bad at it. It's fine. It's always okay to be bad at something. Just keep doing it. It's just like an experience bar in an RPG. You're leveling up your experience bar every time you're doing it. You're getting better at it the next time. So learn how to cook really, really basic things. If you don't know how to cook at all, you'll save $1 bajillion and you will feel happy for doing it, and you'll feel really good about taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I made a potato cheddar soup the other weekend that turned out really, really well, and it was so easy. I literally just chopped everything up, threw it in a pot, and let it cook, and it turned out fantastic.
So, come hang out next week for whatever the hell this is.
Yes.
And for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye, girl, bye.
Stay safe, everyone. Hey everybody, Galen here. I kind of realized at the end of the episode that Oni went ahead and skipped me on the life advice that I was planning on giving. And normally I would just kind of pass it off, skip it on to the next, week or whatever, but with everything that's going on, I feel like this is more poignant to say. So my life advice for this week is to realize that everything isn't necessarily as bad as things seem. And if society and everything seems to be getting you down, making you anxious, kind of getting you more almost scared to a sense, the greatest way to combat that is with information and well-informed decisions. There's no reason to run out and stockpile up on toilet paper, but there are definitely ways that if you want to do something proactive, you can if you want to stay safe. So yeah, that's my life, is just keep a cool head and realize that things aren't necessarily as bad as they seem right now. So don't know when Oni's going to throw this in here, so if it does make it into the episode and you're still listening, then stay safe and thanks for listening, because we all really appreciate it.